All right, welcome back. Today we're going to talk a little bit about free will versus determinism. The age-old question, does free will even exist? So, let's get into it. Free will versus determinism. Do you choose your own destiny, or is your fate already predetermined? Now, I've been in both camps on this one. Depending on when you would have asked me, I would have had a different answer. However, today, doing what I do and knowing what I know about the law of polarity, depolarization, and reconciling the paradoxes, it should be no surprise that I'm in the middle, that the answer is both. It's just in varying degrees depending upon a number of factors. Had you asked me prior to magic and astrology, I would have said free will all the way. It's all free will. We make our own decisions. Sure, there's a random chance factor, but there's nothing so predetermined that it would be considered fate. I would have said that we are in control of our lives, while remaining oblivious to how little control people actually have over their lives. Because really, for the most part, people are just simply unaware. They're just going about their programming subroutines, walking around on autopilot, and there's very little awareness going on. Now, that's not everyone. However, it is pretty widespread, especially with smartphones and people staring at their screens all the time. Awareness is minimal and the programming is in control. However, if you don't know about the programming, if you don't know about the subconscious mind, then yes, it gives the illusion of free will. I mean, if you're leaning towards free will, then why do people do things that they know they shouldn't do, such as overeat, smoke, even such thing as phobias? You know that little spider's not going to hurt you. Why do you freak out so bad when you see one? I mean, if you know what the right thing is to do and you still can't do it, that's not free will. That's programming. The subconscious programming has more control over your lives than you realize. That's why it's subconscious. You're not conscious about it. You think that you are making all the decisions, but yet when push comes to shove, it's difficult, if not impossible, to violate that programming, to go against it. That's why if we truly want to have free will, we don't go against the programming, we rewrite the programming. So learning about the subconscious mind, what it is, how it works, was the first strike against free will, for me personally. Because it's only free will if you're not violating the subconscious programming. Therefore, the idea of free will is not true free will. And in order to get back to true free will, you have to essentially become a human hacker, which is what hypnosis is, and rewrite your programming by your own choice, ergo free will. So I was very pro-free will. It got a little banged up when I learned about the subconscious, but I made it work. It was still intact. But then I learned astrology. And learning astrology blew the lid completely off of free will. It became very difficult for me to remain on the pro-free will side of the argument. When I saw that everything that's happened to me is there in my astrological natal chart, it put me square in the camp of determinism. Now, could you use that to specifically and precisely predict your future and fate? Well, it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility, but when you realize that each planet, sign, and house has its own large set of correspondences, it's more like ballparking it within those subsets of correspondences if a ballpark holds, say, 50,000 outcomes. But everything would still be within those ballparks. Everything would still be within those correspondences of those placements. And when that proves to be the case time and again, it becomes very difficult to rationalize how exactly we are in control. Your own natal chart is the ultimate blueprint and case for determinism. It's based upon the time of your birth, and everything about you is encoded into it. And that's what put me fully in the camp of determinism. Because at the time, it seemed like there was nothing that you could do. Everything was predetermined. It's just you muddling through, ending up doing what you were always meant to do anyway. So how did I go from squarely being on the side of determinism, which I still believe is the case for most people's lives, mind you, to saying, well, it's both. It's not an either-or thing. It's more of an overlap. Well, I got into magic. More specifically, planetary magic. And just as hypnosis, reprogramming your subconscious, is a workaround for true free will, magic is the workaround for determinism. And workaround's probably the wrong word. It's more like work within, because you're still working within those astrological subsets and correspondences. However, now you get to choose. And that's why planetary magic is so important to learn. Now, I've said before that everyone's doing magic whether they know it or not. It's the ones who don't know that aren't in control. Those are the ones that fall within determinism. They're just letting things happen by chance, or they're programming. But by performing magic, you are now choosing what you want to happen instead of letting things be decided for you by determinism. So it's both free will and determinism. You are able to achieve free will by reprogramming your subconscious mind to how you want to be, and also performing magic to be able to choose outside the limitations of determinism choosing for us. Now, some of you may know or be subscribed to Mr. Astrotheology on YouTube, Santos Bonacci. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Forgive me if I'm not. Knows everything there is to know and teaches astrotheology, the holy science of astrology. But I remember him saying way back in the day, because I watched a lot of his videos, that if you had Saturn in Taurus opposition Mars in Scorpio, that you were destined to be a pauper. And I was. I used to be poor as dirt. I couldn't rub two nickels together to save my life. That was before magic. And now I do pretty well. But could I have been able to do that without magic? No. No way. It would have been determined for me, and I would have stayed poor. It's great to learn astrology, but it's not enough. You also have to learn magic, specifically planetary magic, to get past the limitations that those planets put upon you. I've said it before that if you're not controlling your magic, then someone else will. And sometimes that someone else is the planets and the primal forces of nature. I look at people who don't have a magical practice as those who don't have free will, who have given up their right to choose. The entire purpose of this channel and these videos is to give you back your free will so that you can choose what's best for you instead of letting it be determined for you. That's what it's all about, to help people get out from all the crap that determinism has dealt them. And I do that both here in these videos and in my programs. And if you want to learn more about planetary magic, which I strongly advise that you do, you'll want to pick up the 7 Planetary Powers program, a guide in planetary magic. And it will teach you everything that you need to know to perform planetary magic and to get out from underneath the heavy hand and fate of determinism and start choosing for yourself. It is advised, however, that you already have an existing magical practice to add planetary magic on to make it easier. I wouldn't be where I am today, financially or otherwise, without magic. It wouldn't even be close. While it's true that all the money and wealth-specific magic that I've done is included in the Secrets of Wealth program, I was still performing planetary magic along with it. So why specifically planetary magic? Well, like when I said that it wasn't really a workaround, but more like a work within, it's working within those correspondences that the planets, signs, and houses have by being able to choose the correspondences that you want instead of having them chosen for you, if that makes sense. So in order to do that, in order to get around the correspondences that the planets have in store for you, you need to work with those planetary powers and choose new correspondences related to them. For example, with my money problems, I would use Venus correspondences to acquire money and then Jupiter correspondences to expand upon it. And you'll learn all those correspondences in the 7 Planetary Powers program. There's a keyword system that I developed that will essentially just walk you right through it. But that's how I did it, and I have no doubt that if I would have never gotten into magic, that I would still be down and out or even no longer here. Because at the time, things were really bad. And so it's my wish to make things better for others. So, to answer the question of free will versus determinism, it depends on what you're doing. If you've never reprogrammed your subconscious mind, if you've never performed magic of any kind, then you have no true free will. You just think you do. The conscious choices that you make must fall within the parameters of your subconscious programming. And circumstantial situations are well outside your ability to control. But if you are reprogramming your mind, if you are performing magic, then you are taking the reins and determining your life for yourself. There's always going to be a degree of determinism, but you are closer to true free will than not. I want to thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like and share it if you did. Follow me on Twitter at FraterXavier or on Facebook at facebook.com/mindandmagic. And if you join us over at Patreon or Subscribestar, you'll be a month ahead of everybody else. This is Frater Xavier wishing you all the best, and I'll see you next time. Take care.